Jumbo and Habari, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have finally arrived. It's Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. I'm so excited to be back with you for season 4. I cannot believe I have been doing this since 2020. We took a brief hiatus and did something a little different in the second year, but the demand was so great for us to come back to this format that I'm just happy to be here. So, this is Kwanzaa, a modern celebration. We are going to be spending some time with some special guests this evening. We're going to light our candle and we are going to get right into it because I have somebody who is very special to this show and to this audience, a familiar face to start us off with. So let's begin with our candle lighting. Habari Gani, what's the news? Tonight, the news is Umoja. Unity. Tonight we celebrate togetherness and we honor all the things that bring us together as a family, as a nation, as a people, as a community. And to help us talk about this, I have none other than our good friend. You know him, you love him. I have Corey Branch. Yay! Hey, Corey.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
What do you mean, thanks for having me? You're my husband. You are my first guest. It's what, 3 out of 4 seasons that you've
Yeah. But see, there's 3 out of 4. You didn't have to have me.
Well, you were on the show that year. You just came on a different night, which was fun and interesting. It was a little twist. Thank you so much for being here. Honestly, thank you for the love and the support over the years because pulling this off is not easy. It is not a one-woman show. It requires lots and lots of unity. It requires communication and forethought and all those things. And so I'm grateful that you bring those things into my world. Let's talk a little bit about who you are so that the people know, because I'm well aware. But you are a native son of Raleigh, North Carolina. You are a graduate of Inlow High School and North Carolina A&T State University. You're an electrical engineer by trade, but by passion, you are a change maker. You are the city council member for District C here in Raleigh, and you were elected to that position back in 2015. 2015, you've been serving consistently every term in that seat, and we are coming up on 2026. So that's been 10 years in that seat, which is remarkable. That is not to be taken lightly. You are a husband. You are a girl dad. You're an athlete, a martial artist. You're a man of God. You've got so much in the tank, so much in your bio and in your resume. And it's just exciting that we get to sit and chat about Kwanzaa every year. I love that.
Definitely, I fully enjoy it, and I do all those things, and then sometimes I'm fighting a cold. So if I sound a little congested, please forgive me.
We'll let that slide. I'll make you a hot beverage a little later. So tonight is Umoja night. It is Unity night. We start in the center. We start with the black candle, and we start with the people. I think those things are very, very intentional by the founder, Malana Karenga. And I think that anytime you start with the people, you're on the right track. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about people for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, from what angle? There's a lot there.
There is. So we are living in what some would call perilous times. We are living in a time where people are siloed, and it feels as though people want to retreat into themselves and into their individualism and into their own communities. And I think that tonight's principle calls us very clearly to come out of that thinking and to agree that we need unity. Let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we're in a time that, there's a lot going on at the federal level. There's a lot going on at the local level. One of the major things that we're trying to focus on here locally is, making sure people have a warm place to lay their head. as far as housing. And, you build that unity by having a home. So as we continue to try to look out for those that are less fortunate and who need help or assistance, that's what unity is all about. Just this past week, went to a couple of toy drives, doing things, just showing the community that we're here and that we're present, and that, not everybody has, everything all together, but we are in this all together. And I think that's the key thing there.
That's critical too. One of the symbols comes to mind when you say we are in this all together. That Kikombe cha Umoja, the cup of unity. When I go out and I teach Kwanzaa and I work with people and I present to groups and organizations, people always have this eye-opening moment where they go, "This Kikombe is representative of a shared cup, a shared situation. We are all in this together." So even though, thank God, I have a safe place to lay my head at night, I still have to be concerned about others who don't, because their plight is my plight. We're all tied up in this together.
Definitely. And then when you go from there, we also have to make sure that, once a person finds a place to live, they can continue to take care of themselves and, how they look at getting around amongst our city. But also, this time of year with Kwanzaa and Christmas, some of us are missing loved ones. And it makes it challenging and difficult because, for some people, it's the first Christmas without certain loved ones. So we have to keep those in mind and keep them lifted up as well.
And that pulls me back to our libation ceremony that we always open with, just having the time and the space to call out those names, to remember those people, to recognize them, whether they are recently gone on or whether they have gone on and transitioned years ago. It's always powerful when you're in a room and you can hear the names of your loved ones and they overlap and they commingle with the names of other people who have lost loved ones and want to remember them in that way. That's a moment that builds unity because we realize we've all lost someone since the last Kwanzaa, since the last time we lit these candles. Things have changed. Our situations are different, and there are people missing from among us. I think that that's something to kind of keep in mind too when you say we're all in this together.
Definitely. So, I just ask people, when you think about this time, you think about unity, to kind of, pivot a little bit. We also got to think about opportunity. What are the opportunities for people to be successful, to go and flourish? And you don't have opportunity without unity. Unity is the foundation of that word. So, and we also talk about community. Unity, again, is the foundation of that word. So
Literally.
we have to think about, being cohesive and working together. And we may not always get along. We may not always agree, but the key is being respectful and being mindful as we move forward.
You bring up a really good point there. Unity is not uniformity. I have to be very specific and very clear when I coach around that, because people think, well, what if I don't want to do what they doing? What if I don't want to do it that way? What if I like blue, but I like light blue? Okay, but we've agreed on blue. Let's take that and move forward there. I think that there is a sense that we have to be in complete lockstep and that we have to be totally agreed on every single thing before we can do anything. And I think that halts our progress sometimes. We don't move forward as much as we can or when we could, because we get stuck on this notion that like we all have to be in complete agreement at all times.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that it's not possible. I mean, we're all individuals. We all have our own mindset, our own experiences. You can have people in the same household that grew up together, but yet they're still different. They're even twins, yet they're still different. So I just think we just got to continue to find ways to agree to disagree, to work, and don't strive for perfection, because no one's perfect. And when we're striving for the perfect situation, then we get stagnant and we do nothing.
Yeah, we want progress over perfection. It's how is the question. Like, how do we do that? That's the right there. Now I think we've gotten down to something good. Like that phrase agree to disagree rubs some people wrong. And there's some people who are like, well, I shouldn't have to agree to disagree. And okay, I hear you. And how do we move forward if everybody is locked into their own camps, is in their own silos? How do we find something we can move forward on and agree that we can move forward on this?
I think it comes back to a simple word: respect.
Ah,
You have to respect the person that is in a position, or are in a position to lead, and be able to understand that they do care and that they want what's in the best interest. And you can look at a map. I say, if you're in one location, you're trying to get to a different location, there are multiple routes you can go to get there. The key is, is the shortest route the best route? I use a great example. When we were down in Florida for Thanksgiving, and coming back, 95 North is a straight route, but
yep.
our GPS took us off 95 because of congestion, because things were backed up. And the key was we trusted the GPS to get us there. And I think we just got to look at something that in our life, what is our GPS that trusts us, that we will follow, and just realize that as long as someone's in a position or in a role, you have to respect that, and move forward.
Let's expand on that. Not only did the GPS take us off course, it was a way that I had never been, and I'm from Florida, so going back and forth between Florida and North Carolina, that's something that I do quite frequently. And I was like, I don't think this is quite. I had some doubts. I had some I was like, babe, you sure this is? And I had to really just lock in and be like, relax, enjoy the ride. And because we went off route and we went a different way, I saw some things that I had never seen before. And I was able to enjoy the scenery and take in some things that were new experiences for me. So I think that's another little hidden lesson in there. And it would have made absolutely no sense for me to be like, well, I'm not going this direction. I don't care what the GPS is, and I'm not even driving.
Right,
It
right.
made no sense. What am I going to do? Get out and walk? Call my mom and them, be like, come pick me up at the Winn Dixie
You would
or
have had to wait a whole day.
a whole day. It's a mess. And talking about family dynamics, let's pull it back to that. What does it take? Because part of the definition is to build and maintain unity in the family.
Right.
They start there. So let's talk a little bit about family dynamics and building unity and maintaining unity as a family, because it's not just you and I. I think we're a pretty good team. The two of us, we do
We
okay.
are.
But we have to have help. We have to be unified with two sets of grandparents, with some godparents, with some aunts and uncles. There's a whole team, a whole family,
Village.
a village around us. So let's talk a little bit about how we build and maintain unity in that dynamic.
It comes down to relationships. Taking the time to build those relationships with those that are family, but not by blood, the family by relationship, and building that sense of trust along the way. And then when we talk about our grandparents, take Carly's grandparents, just making sure she spends that time with them, because that's key. There's lessons she will learn from them that she won't necessarily get from us, because they have some more lifelong experiences. But at the same time, because they are getting of age, you and I, there's certain things we have to take on to make sure they're okay and they have what they need. And that's where you have that family unity and everything coming together.
Mhm. It's wild. We joke, and it really is a joke when we say we are raising parents at our age. We're raising children and parents. We're that sandwich generation, where our parents do need us in different ways than they have before. And even even though they need us, we're able to kind of input our daughter into their lives in ways that are helpful, um, for both ends. Not only is our daughter getting to spend quality time with people who love her and care about her and are giving her tremendous experiences, but we also have a set of eyes in the house to let us know what's going on. And it's a mutually beneficial relationship when she's spending time with them. And it's good for everybody. It's good for every mommy and daddy get a little break, and
Just
the
a little.
grandparent a little one, right? And the grandparents get, like, prime example. Corey's mom came into possession of 2 pounds of baby guavas, and she had no idea what to do with those baby guavas, and they would have gone to waste. And so we were over. We had taken the baby over. We were going to run some errands and let her spend some time and that kind of thing. And she said, "Here, y'all take these baby guavas." And I was like, "And do what with them?" But but it occurred to me in that moment, I have the capacity to go research what to do with these. I can Google it. I can, and not only that, I have an aunt who makes guava jelly, and like, she's an excellent cook, that kind of thing. So I had some resources, and she knew that. And she was like, "You will make better use of that than I can." And so me and the baby got together, and we looked it up, and we called around, and we made guava jelly, and we were able to take and share that little treat with everybody. And it's phenomenal when you think about, like, that's not an experience we would have had if we had not been unified and
Yeah.
connected, you know, with grandparents in that very special way.
Yeah, and I mean, I love my parents to death. I love my in-laws. They are so helpful. But not everybody can say that.
Hmm.
Some people have
Hmm.
some family dynamics that are very challenging, and that's where we have to look at resources and things in the community to help fill that gap and fill that void. Um, and even those kids that come from a family that's somewhat together, they still need other support
Yeah.
outside of that. So those are the things that we got to continue to address and deal with when we talk about family and family unity.
And when families are not healthy, when families are not functional, or unified in the ways that we are privileged to have, um, it's important to know that there are organizations, there are people who can help with that, and reaching out and getting the support that can kind of help you align your families, or help you see when it's time to, like, move forward and look for other for the love and support elsewhere. When to build your own families. There's lots of folks in those situations, so I don't take it for granted that we have that built in. I mean, and not just grandparents. We've got crazy aunties and uncles who, like, the truck shows up in front of the house, and there's, stuff, resources.
Hmm.
Um, I heard the baby had a cold. This is what I found, and I sent it. You know, um, or congratulations on a great report card, and treats and goodies show up. And I think that those relationships, that where we have distances, but we still remain in contact, and they talk on the phone, and they get on video calls, and we have family Zoom meetings. Those kinds of things help to build that sense of love and belonging and relationship, um, between folks who are spread out, because that was a challenge for me for a long time. I have a big, loud, all encompassing, high energy, high impact family. Like, anybody who knows me, there's like 12 of me. We're all like that. And it was fantastic because this year for Thanksgiving, like you said, we went down to Florida, and we were intentional about spending that time together and
Hmm.
building those bonds. Like, my daughter got to play with her cousins from Florida, and they're all around the same age, and I mean, up at 7:30 in the morning, singing K-pop Demon Hunters at the top of their lungs. And they have another little smaller cousin who's running around, and they're showing her how to get into mischief. And it was wonderful, and it was a bonding activity that I think we all needed, because it had been quite some time since we were all able to
Hmm.
share time and space like that.
Agreed. That family time, you is so important. And even though my brother is currently out of town, we continue to talk, we continue to text, keep up with my nephew and my niece, and what they're doing, and how they're growing. And, it's all about being intentional. And I think that's the main thing about unity is it doesn't work passively. You have to be active, and you have to be intentional.
I think that's so right. Putting time on your calendar, like I'm going to set time aside on Thursday nights to just call somebody in the family, or I'm going to take time and write a little love note and drop it in the mail. Like people really only get bills and stuff in the mail these days, bills and junk mail. Like, how wonderful would it be to get a little note from a friend or a family member who's just thinking about you?
Hmm.
So that's one of the practices to help build unity within the family that I think I might embrace going into 2026. It's an easy one. That's the other thing. Like, find the easy wins,
Right.
the things that make sense, the things that are highly achievable right off the bat, and do those. Check those off the list.
Yeah, you don't have to be all grind and everything. It's the little things that matter the most. Those are the things that people remember. One thing our daughter always says is, "Daddy, I just want your time."
Hmm.
So I've been very intentional in cutting off stuff for time with her,
Hmm.
um, because she's only going to be small for so long. Everybody I talk to as kids, they're like, enjoy it, they grow up fast. So I'm just making sure we spend that time, and have those moments.
It's critical, and these are the formative years. These are the moments. Somebody said something scary to me the other day. They were like, "Listen, by the time they're 8 or 9 years old, they are who they're going to be, and it's all experiences after that. They have been shaped and they've been formed." And I was like, "Oh, she's 7. We've got a year left. We've got a year, maybe two." And it was one of those things that like really just made me think about, okay, have we have we been doing what we need to do to make sure that she has the best start at life that she can possibly have? And I have to like, okay, yeah, we did that. Okay, yeah, we did that. And just building these little experiences and surrounding her with family who loves her and can give her the things that maybe we can't, um, in terms of her emotional growth and her spiritual growth, as well as her physical health and well-being. Like all of those things, we've been really careful and really intentional about how we've shaped these beginning
Mhm.
years. So, and she, I have to say, like a homegirl is she's something. I like her. I like her. I would be friends with her. Um,
Yeah, and I think it's important to for her to understand that sometimes people may come in and out of her life.
mhm.
Um, Not that it's bad or anything. It's life.
Yeah,
And she's dealt with some disappointment, at such a young age, but she's strong. She's just like her mother, stubborn. Um, so, um,
I'm gonna let you have it because it's Kwanzaa. Consider that one of your Zawadi. Let you have that one.
but I say that with love, um, because you are a strong woman. You are able to pivot and get things done, and help keep the household together when I'm off to some meeting or somewhere, and like, hey, I'm supposed to get Carly, I can't get her, can you get her? And you're able to pivot and make that happen, or call in our grandparents, our
Hmm.
army, to say, hey, who has eyes on Carly? um, so those are the things I think are very important, when we talk about unity in a network, um, as we move forward.
It's amazing. Okay, so let's turn our attention. We talked about unity in the family. We briefly, as we started out, talked about unity in the community, but let's be even more specific about that.
Mhm.
I know that we have several communities that we love and trust, and where not only is our daughter growing and expanding, but we as individuals, we have our church community. We have a couple of church communities now in our lives. We have our martial arts community. We have our school community. We have built these bubbles that are amazing places for us to learn and stretch and grow. And let's just talk a little bit about like how we maintain unity um, among those different communities
One, a calendar.
or several.
Yeah. That way we can get things done and be where we need to be. But I think the thing about those different, outlets, they all bring something unique and different,
Hmm.
while still reinforcing family. And I think that's the key, is people being having outlets that still will reinforce, someone's or individuals that can support you and uplift you, and you're growing. And be honest with you, you know, that's the key too, is you don't need a bunch of yes people around you. You need
Hey.
people that are willing to call you out when something's not right, or you're not doing something correctly, in a respectful way.
Hmm.
And I tell anyone, you can tell anybody anything, but it's how you say it, and how you deliver it that matters. So, when I look at all of our outlets and everything that we do, we get different, strengths and reinforcement from everything, with a spiritual foundation, a physical foundation, um, overall.
I agree. And I think that each community, like you said, feeds a different little part of you. It feeds a different little part of my spirit and who I am. I am not yet what I shall be. Hallelujah. But just knowing that um, I get good things from each one of those little communities, and that I am also contributing good things to those communities by bringing my full self, by bringing my experiences, by bringing my strengths, by bringing my weaknesses, and learning and growing and sharing in those spaces together. I'm part of a business mastermind, and I have had some ladies come in and get me all the way together and like ask me some tough questions and really hold me accountable. And it's been beautiful. It has been a wonderful experience. It's the thing that's allowed me to grow and progress in 6 months' time into an entrepreneur and into a business leader, where I come from an industry where everything is given to you and you're expected to just follow the marching orders. They literally ring a bell to tell you when to do the next thing. um, and so it's it's been it's been a trip. And those ladies, like, I have nothing but good things to say about those ladies, because they sharpen you and then love on you, and then they sharpen you down some more, and then they love you some more. Um, and it's been wonderful. That's an experience that I wouldn't trade anything for in 2025.
Yeah, and it helps you all get better and grow, in everything that you're doing, and I can see the growth in what you're doing, and there's some challenging times and moments, but excuse me, but not responding to the bell or to the response, you know, it teaches you how to manage the time now, and how to move forward, because you're not answering to a horn that's going off every 45 minutes.
Right, right. And another example is our martial arts family. I am part of the elite team, and I was like, "What?" When I got that letter and that invitation, like, my socks were officially blown off. I did not expect that, but I have discovered that not only am I bringing my physical ability to that team, but like they need some auntie energy in there. And like there's lots of younger ones and lots of little kids. And even if it's as simple as, let me get you in your gear. You got to get in your gear faster,
Mhm.
honey. Here, let me tie the back of that. Your guards are on backwards. Spin them around. Pull your ponytail through your helmet. Those kinds of things, little things that I can do to be helpful, or squeezing them after they come out of sparring and being like, breathe, breathe. Okay, here, get some water. Just little things that I feel privileged to be able to bring into that circle as well. It's exciting.
Yeah, and also teaches you to push yourself.
Yeah.
When you think
Oh
you've
yeah.
reached the wall, to try to go even past that. Because trust me, I've done a lot of pushing and heaving and whatnot, but it gives me the mental release of
Mhm.
energy because it's teaching me to react and not always have to think every
Mhm.
step, because I do that in my day-to-day life.
Yep.
So this is a part of me that's helping me from a unity standpoint of becoming a whole person.
Mhm. Yeah. And let's be clear, you can't unify with everything and everybody. You Let me say it again. You can't unify with everything and everybody. There's going to be some stuff that like is simply not your realm. It is simply not your realm. And I think we also need to release some guilt and some pressure around feeling like we have to be in unity with everything all the time, all places and all aspects. That's not the case. You're supposed to unify with what aligns with you. And if it does not, then you leave that alone for somebody else to unify with.
Right. In this day and age, I just say it this way: don't feel guilty in being your authentic self,
Hey,
because other people are showing you who they are, and that will help you maneuver on what you need to do and how you need to act. But when we talk about unity, um, two protons don't connect. You got to have. I'm going to science here.
help
I'm
me.
taking it out. So
Help
so you
me.
got two protons. They're going to repel because they're both positive. You got to have a positive and a negative to build
Yeah.
your atoms. So the point I'm making is that, you know, not everything will connect to you. Not everything is for you.
Yeah.
And it's being able to recognize that, and in a respectful way say I'll pass or I'll move on, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. And again, I love what you said, not being guilty about showing up as your authentic self. One thing we taught our daughter, and I'm glad we did, because I think it will translate to other areas of her life. We advocated for a no thank you bite when we were introducing food and introducing new things and kind of helping her develop a palate. We were like, you don't have to eat the whole thing, but if you've never had it at all, we're going to ask that you just take a no thank you bite. Just just try it. You might surprise yourself. If you like it, you can have more, and if not, you can pass. No more questions asked, no more pressure about it. And I think that I am in a phase in my life where I am having some no thank you bites of things, and I am learning that's not for me. I tried it. That's not for me. I'll pass.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some of them are bigger deal things than, like, they're not little things. They're not inconsequential things. Um, and I think that, the concept of a no thank you bite is how we can pick and choose and move on respectfully, like you said. Ooh,
Yeah, and one of the things I'll say too, excuse me, is that in growing and working with individuals and people, you have to realize that that no thank you bite or that thing, you tried it, you made an effort. That's all some people ever ask. Just make an effort, and if it doesn't work out, at least an effort was made, and then you kind of move on.
yeah, and I don't think that effort is wasted because
You
something
learn.
didn't work. I think all parties can learn from things and grow from things and go their separate ways,
Mhm.
without any hard feelings. Yeah.
Agree.
Ooh, that's good stuff. So, all right, let's drive the conversation into the third part of that definition, which is the itchy part. It itches a lot less for me these days, and the more I grow in my daily practice of Kwanzaa, because I practice Kwanzaa 365 days a year. That's why this is Living Kwanzaa 365. Um, I am genuine and authentic in practicing this all year long, every day. Um, but I would like to push into the conversation of race, because the definition calls for us to build and maintain unity in the family, the community, in the nation and the race. There are 4 parts to it, right? So let's dig into it. Come on, Black folk, we got to get together. How do we? What's the thing? What do we do?
So I think it comes back to when we talk about unity and we talk about working together, realizing that sometimes you need a surrogate, meaning 2 people may not see eye to eye, but there may be a third person that can intervene to help bring everyone together and not be afraid to utilize that and to do that. I've done it in working in the community. There's some people that we didn't necessarily see eye to eye, but somebody else stepped in to help address the matter, for me to at least, continue to be open to listening and to hearing the person, because you don't know what you don't know. And if someone's willing to give you the information and share information with you, then you do that, but it has to be reciprocated. It can't be a take. It's got to be a give as well. So I think for me within our race, there's a lot going on. There's different levels of it. But at the end of the day, and I'm going to use the example from this past week. We were in a store and a police officer just happened to want to walk by and see what we were doing. I will say we were not in Raleigh. We were in a subsidiary of Raleigh. But the fact that it was noticeable that he was following us is something that I'm still a Black man. You're still a Black woman. And we have to understand that there will be individuals that will look at us and judge us based upon how we look and not who we are, because they don't know who we are.
Yeah.
So there's been other incidences where people don't know I'm a Raleigh City Council member. And I purposely now don't tell people when I go places. I just say, hey, I'm Corey Branch. And the reason why I do that is because I want to see how they treat me. And I've seen the changes when someone finally introduced me. Yeah, did you know this is Councilman Branch? And their face lights up. They're like, oh, the title shouldn't matter. Just treat me as a person. And within our own race, we just have to find better ways of agreeing to disagree. But again, being respectful, as I said earlier.
I think I can agree with that. And I think also that it's such an icky time. It's such an icky time. And everything that's happening nationally, everything that has happened nationally since last Kwanzaa, if we roll back the tape and just kind of tick through the order of events since the last time we lit these candles and we were together this way, there's been a lot that's gone on. And I think that Black people by necessity have unified, because I think that many of us have seen and understood the point that you just made, right? There were some folks who were like, oh, but I have a college degree, so I'm not, or, oh, I live here, and so I'm not part of that, or that doesn't affect me. I think some people have been affected by some things that they thought they may have been untouchable. And coming back to what you said, it matters not whether you are a Raleigh City Council member. It matters not that I was Ms. Black USA. It matters not that you have a job title or degree or this, that, and the other. The world sees a Black man and a Black woman. And we have to understand that first and foremost and act in a way that allows the world to see us and to respect what we bring to the table.
And we have to understand that and respecting each other and realize that we are in this together, and that we have to work together. And it's not putting down other races. It's not disrespecting other races. It's just finding unity in who you are and your foundation of who you are.
That's important. We gotta hit that one right there. I have a passion for culture, right? And by nature of the fact that I practice martial arts, I have also fallen in love with Korean culture. It is not my culture, but I have a deep and abiding love and respect for what they do and how the long history that's there. And there are many, many beautiful things about that culture. I know at the end of the day where home is. And I know at the end of the day that I have to have a healthy love and respect for my culture while still maintaining a healthy love and respect for other people's cultures and what they hold dear and how they work and move. We know that Kwanzaa is built on a set of principles that are universal and timeless, but they originate in Africa. These are the ways of our people from time immemorial, from antiquity. This is the way that throughout the continent, not the country, please understand Africa is a continent, it's a whole continent, right?
The
With
largest.
with subcultures and ways of being, and there are coastal people and there are people inland and there are mountains and it snows in Africa, and like there's lots of things about Africa that people miss or don't understand. But to have Kwanzaa as a practice and as a cultural touch point is just a reminder that like we have something beautiful and something that we can lift up and honor and be proud of, and something that we can share with others for them to be proud of and for them to see and value and honor as well. And so I don't think that like placing value or appreciating other people's cultures has any detriment to my own practice. Again, I know where home is. I know what home looks like. I know what happens at home. I know how to do this. But I think that people have to understand that it we don't mean no harm. We Black, but we don't mean no
Right.
harm.
And one thing I've always say is people need to understand the laws of physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you have individuals that are out here being all apolitical and saying they love their race and this and the other, I'm glad you do it. But don't put my race down, because when you do that, some people call it karma, some people call it laws of physics, whatever you call it. But for everything that's out there, if you push, there's always going to be a pull. And that's something that we got to realize, but also grounded in our rich African history. We have to realize, from whence we've came. Everybody talks about, how many people know about Gary A. Morgan? Gary A. Morgan, everyone should think about him every time they stop at a light.
Yep.
Because he invented the traffic light. And those that are in the military are those that work with chemicals and things of that nature, and they have to wear a gas mask. Think about Garrett A. Morgan, because he invented that. The refrigeration truck, a Black person invented that. So you can't get away from us. We're here. We built this world, and we just got to realize that we as a people have to remember our history. We have to learn our history, but in doing that, not put others down, but be respectful.
That's it. And I think that we've said the word authenticity more than a few times on here, and I think that settling in your authenticity, and tomorrow night's conversation is about Kuji Chagulia, so we'll get into that. We'll get into that, but I think that your authenticity has to be built on your cultural beliefs. Who you are is built in who you come from and where you come from, and the practices and the belief systems and those things that are ingrained in that. And when it's time to tell bedtime stories, we're gonna tell African folk tales and African mythologies, but we'll throw some Norse ones in there as well, because you should know about the world that you are living in.
Yep.
You should know these other things. We're going to throw some Korean folk tales in there as well, because you should know about that. There is no escaping the interconnectedness of the world we live in. And I think that that is something that that stringent old school practitioners of Kwanzaa still want us to hold on to the Black Power movement aspect of it. And I think we have to breathe and stretch and grow into an understanding that like we are living and functioning in an interconnected society, and we need to know and be aware of the other things that are happening while still holding pride in our own cultural belief systems.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, it's and also race is a construct. We'll get in. Race is a construct. It's a made up thing. It's a made up thing.
Yeah, because some people used to be from Ireland and UK and Poland and Switzerland, and that's where they came from, and I just
Go,
leave
go.
that there. That's a whole nother. That's not Kwanzaa. That's not Kwanzaa.
It's not Kwanzaa. It's not Kwanzaa. All I want the Irish people to come in and sit and see our celebration and come to our candle lighting and eat a plate of greens, and because that is also where you will find some of the inextricable commonalities that are ingrained in global practices. Like people everywhere, there is a thread that runs through all these things. It's no coincidence that every holiday we celebrate in winter centers light, centers joy, centers gathering. Hanukkah, even Advent, all of these other things, Diwali, all of them center light and gathering and togetherness, and there are some commonalities that we can all see and uplift, and everybody can walk away with a healthy respect for each other.
Yep, and that's what unity is all about:
Hmm.
having a healthy respect for each other.
And and allowing that respect to drive action, because when you know someone and you think well of that person or that group of people, um, there are things that you discover that you can do that are in the benefit of those people, that are to the benefit of everyone involved. And I think we have to be thoughtful about driving ourselves to take action once we're unified, driving ourselves to like really be present and and move forward on some of these initiatives. Like let's stop
Mhm.
talking. Like the time for talk runs out at some point, and actions don't need to be big. Actions don't need to be large and overstated. Small things count.
Mhm.
Small things count.
Agree. I definitely agree.
So we've talked about the family, we've talked about the community, we've talked about the race, the nation, friend. How do we how do we
So it
build
starts
and
local,
maintain
and
unity in our nation?
so all politics is local. Um, and I think the key is working in your local community, your local environment, um, and being engaged, being involved. Um, I always try to compare services, a football team. Everybody has a role. Everybody can do something. But if one person's out of line, if one person's out of step, if one person has a false start, it moves the whole team backwards. So we just got to make sure that we have that united front and realize that, hey, we make a play may be called and may not work. Um, but let's have that grace to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we know this country was founded um, on violence,
Mm-hmm.
um, but that doesn't mean it has to end on violence. There's a way to change it, and the question is who's willing to change it. Some people say you can't do it or it's not possible. Call me an optimist, um, but I do think change can happen. um, we just have to find the will to want to do it and be willing to step out
Mm-hmm.
and realize that everyone may not agree, but you know not it's Christmas season, so as well. And I know we're talking about Kwanzaa, but Jesus had 12 disciples. They all didn't agree all the time, but they still moved forward and followed. Me being a Christian, just where my belief is.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a community in this nation, we're going through some times right now where we have some leaders that care about themselves. Mm-hmm. They care about themselves and their people. But for everything, there's a season.
Yeah.
And I feel that, we can come out of this better as a better country, but we got to learn. The reason why we're going through this again, almost like the 60s, is because there's something we didn't learn from that. Mm-hmm. And we're going to need everybody, Black, South, African, since they're shipping people over from South Africa now, Hispanic, Latin America, Caucasian, Korean, Jamaican. We're going to need everybody to wake up. It's called almost like school days. Wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that Kwanzaa invites us. There's so much here. Kwanzaa invites us to see and understand that without unity, without starting right here in the middle with the people and centering the people and what's best for the people, without that, there's no hope of finding better or doing more. There's no hope of that, because the needs of the people are foundational to everything else. And if the people are being ignored, the people can't get health care, if the people can't get food, if the people don't have a warm, safe place to sleep at night, the rest of it is going to fall flat on its face. The rest of it does not matter. There's not another thing to reach for or to achieve if you've not taken care of the people and all of the people. That's the part that, anywhere people are sick or hungry or hurting, we have to go and we have to help. And if we don't get those things in order, we can't keep calling ourselves the greatest nation in the world with all of these people, like I said, sick and hungry and hurting and outdoors. We can't do that. That's contradictory. And by getting together and paying attention to what those needs are and actually doing what we need to do to serve the needs of those people.
And I do believe what can make us great is taking care of the people and working through that and finding unity and looking out for each other. Humanity. Those are the things that, we have to keep in mind.
And again, that is the invitation of the first night of Kwanzaa. Let's unify. Let's get together. In a more tangible sense, let's identify what our needs are. Let's lay those things out on the table. What are our priorities? What is the world that we envision for ourselves? All of those things. If we are sitting around our lit Kinara having this conversation at the end of this year, as we go into the next year on this first night of Kwanzaa, we have an opportunity to lay some things on the table and to come to agreement about what we actually want, what our priorities are, and what our actions can be. Yeah. All right. So every year, the founder of Kwanzaa issues a theme. And this year's theme is practicing the 7 principles in dimly lit times, lifting up the light, hurrying the dawn. There's a lot there. So just as we close in our last few minutes, just reflect on the theme that Milana Karenga has given us for 2025.
Wow, that's a lot there. Repeat it.
I can. So the theme is practicing the 7 principles in dimly lit times, lifting up the light, hurrying the dawn.
So it's interesting when we talk about hurrying the dawn. That's like a new day, trying to hurry to get
Mhm.
into a new day. But you know, you know, things may seem dim, and it's always darkest before there's light. So I think it comes back to us working together, individually, building up our family. All things start local, building up your network, and unifying it, and moving forward, and realizing we learn from the past.
Mhm.
We need to know about the past, but we can't live in the past,
Ooh, that's good.
because if you live in the past, you can't have a new dawn.
Ooh, that's good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I completely agree. The fact that he starts with practicing the seven principles. That's the beginning of it. Let's get these things that we talk about annually, you know, every 365 days we come back to, and it's the first night of Kwanzaa, and let's consider unity. Well, what have we done in the meantime, in between time?
Right.
How have we unified ourselves? How have we acted on the things that we uplifted the previous Kwanzaa? And how we responded to the other seven principles as well, because they really do work together. They start in the center, absolutely, with unity and with the people, but when you bring all of those seven things together as daily practice and doing it on a regular basis, you will see how each one ties back to the other in some new
Mhm.
and unexpected way. And if you sat down and journaled, part of my practice is journaling, and just looked at how consistently they pop up and which ones pair and how you can find layers in them, I think that it's an invitation to just like take this seriously. It's an invitation to actually do it, because like you said, you reference it's always darkest before the dawn. We're going to need this light.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to need every candle that is lit this Kwanzaa to navigate out of this darkness. And we're going to need everyone to hold high their lights.
Yep.
All right, friends. That's our time this evening. Thank you, Councilmember Branch.
Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful that you have once again, y'all. My husband is the best. He comes on my show every year, and we have this amazing conversation. He has been a fantastic sounding board for me. I know that he is practicing Kwanzaa by virtue of the fact that I am practicing Kwanzaa. There are things that we sit and talk about at the dinner table, or um, I'll be in carpool and I'll call him and I'll say, "Hey, I had this thought," and he always makes the time and the space to hear me out and to help me implement and take seriously the things that I need to do to strengthen my daily practice of these principles that I believe in so deeply. So I am grateful for that, and I do not want it to go unsaid.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. That is our program for tonight. Thank you for joining us for night one of Kwanzaa, a modern celebration for 2025. We will be right back here tomorrow night at the same time for our conversation on Kuji Chagulia. So you are welcome. Please don't forget to like and share so that others can see and have this experience, and we can all share Kwanzaa together. So, with that, Hariza Kwanzaa, may your Kwanzaa be blessed. Good night, everyone.
Candles burning bright tonight. 7 candles, warming hope inside. Hands together, hearts aligned. Kwanzaa whispers, it's our time. Harvest songs and stories told. Ancestors' wisdom, strong and bold. Drum beats echo, voice voices rise, unity beneath the sky.